Forgotten Sunrise, Chapter 31, Class 5. A few hours later, there was another knock at the door of Izzy's cottage, and she once again opened the door. She was greeted with the concerned faces of just over a dozen unicorns, most of whom had books either in their hooves or saddlebags.
Izzy, what's going on? Who is that new unicorn? The one that went into the tea room?
Jasper asked. Alphabeetle came out to join Izzy outside her home, and risked seeing the lives he had carelessly endangered. Thankfully, he didn't see any looks of judgment, only concern and sharing Jasper's question. Izzy took a step forward.
I know we're all a little spooked after the incident, every pony, but don't worry. Sunset Shimmer? She's a unicorn from a faraway land, and she knows more about ancient world magic than any pony me or my friends have met. I'm sure she wants all of these books in one place so that accidents like the fire aren't repeated. She said she'd be back soon, and I'm absolutely sure she'll let us know what to do with them.
The unicorns present seemed to accept this. With their minds a little more at ease, they filed into the cottage one by one and set their gathered books in a stack next to the couch. Several minutes later, Izzy and Alphabeetle found themselves alone again.
How's the headache, Izzy?
Alphabeetle asked as the pair went back into the cottage once the crowd had headed back into town.
I can't believe you're worried about me. You're lucky to have all your coat after that flare-up. Since you asked, it's finally starting to let up a bit. It'll probably be a while before I practice anything again, though. Sunset is right. These things are incredibly dangerous.
But if you hadn't been reading up, who knows how much of the forest we would have lost.
I'm sure Sunset can tell us more when she gets this all figured out. I'm sure she knows what she's doing.
Sometimes Sunny liked it quick and simple, and today, she was taking her lunch break with a quick peanut butter and jelly, and a bag of chips. She had arranged with Cinnamon to take half shifts at the museum until they had gone through everything they had gathered from the Crystal Empire. She'd make sure everything was in its place after lunch, then headed over to Canterlogic. She was just about done with her sandwich when her phone began ringing and vibrating on her desk. She glanced at it to see who it was, and quickly picked it up, sliding her hoof across the screen.
Hey Sprout, what's up?
Sunny asked, as she put the phone to her ear before taking the last bite of her sandwich.
Hey Sunny, just calling to make sure I'm not crazy. We did drop Sunset off yesterday in between Zephyr Heights and Bridalwood, right?
The stallion on the other end of the phone asked.
Yeah. Why?
Because she sealed herself in the loading bay and she's been tearing through the crates for about 20 minutes now.
She's there. Right now?
She hasn't said a word to any pony and won't let any pony in. She seems a bit agitated.
I'll be right there,
Sunny said, hanging up the phone. Leaving the remains of her lunch where it was, she immediately got up, hung her curator's vest, threw on her saddlebags, and headed out of her office.
Cinnamon, I'm headed out. Emergency at the factory.
Sunny called moments after exiting the Guardians of Harmony wing.
Got it. Hope everything's okay.
Cinnamon called back from his office. Once out of the front doors, Sunny broke into a gallop towards Canterlogic. She raced up the front concourse and swiped her badge at the front doors, unlocking them. Understandably in a hurry, she merely nodded cordially at Sweets before going straight for the elevator. She entered the lift and hit the button for the bottom level. Sunny pranced in place uneasily. They had gotten back to Maritime Bay late last night and hadn't even had time to unload the trailer before every pony turned in for the night.
How had Sunset gotten back here on hoof so quickly? How had she gotten into one of Canterlogic's most secure locations?
The lift reached the bottom level, and the door slid open. There stood Sprout, and a few other Canterlogic employees staring mystified at a gigantic magical field, dome-shaped, that encompassed nearly the entire large room, including the Scouticus Maximus, the trailer, and all of the crates they had unloaded.
What in Equestria?
Sunny said as she stepped up to Sprout.
It's completely impenetrable. It might as well be a solid wall.
Sprout told her as the Earth Mare approached the magical shield. She squinted her eyes to have a look inside. It was a little blurry, but there was Sunset, among all the crates that had been unloaded from the trailer. It looked like she had surrounded herself with all the books that had been recovered. They were either in stacks near her, or most of them were levitating up in the air as they slowly rotated around her in a circle.
Sunset, can you hear me?
Sunny called.
We think she can, but she seems pretty focused on whatever she's doing in there.
Sprout told her. Sunny took a moment to think, and could think of no other option.
Every pony, stand back.
She told Sprout and the others, who immediately stepped back towards the elevator. With that, Sunny turned towards Sunset's glowing shield and closed her eyes in concentration. She took a deep, quiet breath and held it for a moment. When she exhaled, glowing golden translucent wings and a horn materialized on her body. Both the wings and the horn glowed brighter as she brought the wings around, shielding her front.
Sunset, if you can hear me, I'm coming in.
With that, she took slow, purposeful steps towards the shield. Her glowing wings pressed against it and began to pass through, as if they were a hot knife through butter. Sunny kept her pace steady and felt her whole body pass through Sunset's shield. When she looked back and saw that she was clear, she lowered her wings back down to her sides. She indeed confirmed that Sunset sat in the center of the room and had surrounded herself with the stacks of books they had collected from the Crystal Empire. She was floating several dozen more around her with what she could only assume was some kind of sorting spell.
Sunset?
Sunny asked, taking a few steps towards her. At last, the unicorn turned her attention to the Earth Pony for only a moment.
Sorry, Sunny. I had a feeling Sprout and the others wouldn't understand. No pony in this generation has any idea how dangerous some of these books can be. I just saw firsthand what happens when the inexperienced get their hooves on these. What are you talking about? I thought you were headed towards Bridlewood. I was. I made it to Bridlewood and was there for about 20 minutes. Alpha Biddle got his hooves on a Class 5 spell tome and nearly burned his business down. What? Oh my stars.
Sunny said, her eyes widening in shock.
No pony was killed, thank goodness. I'm just double-checking for Class 3 through 5 spellbooks. I told you they were locked away, buried, for a reason. No matter where they're put, I'm afraid they'll be found eventually. I don't know what to do with them. I'm hoping to find a way to destroy them.
Sunny's heart skipped a beat.
What? Sunset, you can't!
Sunset turned to Sunny again, magically opened her saddlebags, pulled out a book, and opened it.
This is the tome I found in the scorched interior of the Crystal Tea Room. You want to know what the spell was that he thought would be okay to try in a crowded interior?
Sunset asked incredulously, flipping pages rapidly with her telekinesis.
Ignis Tempesta, Firestorm. I doubt any pony alive today can completely translate the Ponish from ancient times. If they could, I doubt they would even open this book. You know what this book is, Sunny? Offensive spells written by battle mages. For war! Don't you get it? Conjuring balls of fire to rain from the sky. Streams of flame to shoot from the tips of your hooves. Spells to make your enemies' bones spontaneously combust, incinerating them from the inside out. You think things like that should be left intact?
Sunny felt a lump in her throat. She hadn't seen Sunset this emotional, this stressed, since she first met her in the cell of Zephyr Heights Castle.
I understand your concern and your caution, Sunset. I do. But that's history. You shouldn't destroy history, or it's lost forever. History can be dangerous. History can get ponies killed. All it takes is one errant book, one inexperienced unicorn, and the next thing you know, homes and businesses are up in flames.
Sunny felt her throat tighten, as her fear began to take hold, and her ethereal horn responded.
You can't do this!
She wasn't sure if she wanted exactly what happened to happen, but a beam of light shot out from her horn and surged towards Sunset. It didn't do anything to her physically, but her concentration was broken. Her shield dissipated, and the dozens and dozens of books rotating around her dropped to the metal floor. For the very first time, Sunny saw Sunset glare at her in anger and frustration. The unicorn's horn lit up again almost immediately, and Sunny raced towards her.
Sunset, stop!
A new shield began to materialize at the tip of Sunset's horn, and it rapidly expanded outward. Sunny was knocked back as it expanded to surround the unicorn and all the books again. The Earth Mare hit the floor, sliding back to where Sprout and the other employees stood in shock. Sunny quickly got back up to her hooves and saw Sunset through her new shield, her horn sparking in anxiety.
I'm sorry, Sunny. You just don't understand.
You'll never understand.
Sunset!
The unicorn's horn glow intensified tenfold, and there was a blinding flash of light. Sunny and the other occupants in the room brought up their hooves to shield their eyes. When the light faded seconds later, Sunny lowered her hooves, and her eyes widened in horror at the sight before her. Sunset Shimmer and all the books were gone. Well, shit, I didn't expect it to get that intense, but I like it. Now let's hop on over to our overpowered donators. Top donators are 630, BadassWaffle, Only One Thing, Ceru, Orion, IronSky, and Jessie Smith. Matchvic 109, Darkside, Rayden, Narwhals, Blackmoonheart, Pastel Skies, Austin Rolan, Stu, Hex, Sword with Remorture, Namikar, Lyra, Runeslife 9852, Will, Chris, Twinkie, Rysel, Shadow Moon, Luigi 88, Chancer Crust, Big Smoke 369, Bobcat JJF, Murder Princess, and many more beautiful people. Thank you all so much for watching this video and live life to the fullest.